Mr. President.
The Republican leader.
Last night, President Biden gave a State of the Union address that might have worked okay for a popular administration that had been successfully tackling America's problems and actually earning high marks. But that's not the reality in which we live. Democrats spent the last 12 months making major and painful policy errors. The public overwhelmingly disapproves. President Biden didn't need to stay the course and rehash a scattered wish list. He needed to make a dramatic pivot, but he chose not to. The President first discussed Ukraine. Everyone agrees with the sentiments President Biden expressed, but the sentiments are not enough. The President articulated no meaningful new steps, no specific plan. He made no explicit commitment to keep flowing weapons, intelligence, and advanced capabilities into Ukraine as long as the Ukrainians need them. Nor did he explain why his administration was slow to provide lethal assistance in the first place. Instead, the President focused on trying to claim credit for the remarkable European and worldwide response that his administration did not foresee, let alone orchestrate. Apart from Ukraine, the President's other remarks on our dangerous world were not just insufficient, they were basically non-existent. The President spoke for over an hour, but only mentioned China twice. Neither time had anything to do with national security or military modernization. The President only mentioned Iran one time, and it was literally by accident. Zero mentions of North Korea, zero mentions of the botched Afghanistan retreat the administration originally boasted was a, quote, success, end quote. Our 13 service members who lost their lives are completely unmentioned until Governor Reynolds took the microphone. And zero mentions of rebuilding the defense budget that President Biden actually tried to cut last year. Meanwhile, the President's speech tried to skate by the serious kitchen table concerns that are actually keeping families up at night. The President talked about Made in America, but keeps fighting against energy independence. Democrats want us to buy American, but not American oil and gas. On President Biden's watch, we've set a new record for importing Russian oil, and we're begging OPEC to produce even more. And his energy vision is to dump huge subsidies into supply chains that are dominated by China, borrowing from our grandkids to build back Beijing. The President tried yet again to revive the zombie spending plans, which a bipartisan majority of senators have already killed and buried because they would make inflation even worse. He tried to brag about fancy technology on our southern border as if we hadn't just seen a new record for illegal crossings on his watch. The President's address was not responsive to the country's concerns. He needed to pivot, but he didn't. CNN conducted an instant poll. As you might expect, it oversampled Democrats. Even so, the percentage who gave the President's speech high marks was the lowest they've seen in 15 years. Now, Iowa's hugely successful Governor Kim Reynolds offered the clearest possible contrast. She spoke for the working families who are suffering under Democrat policies. She outlined a common-sense Republican vision of stability at home, strength abroad, law and order in our streets, and sanity in our public schools. November is just months away. If President Biden does not correct course sharply and quickly, the American people may correct the course for him. Now, on an entirely different matter, one of the occupational hazards of Senate service is having to say goodbye to truly remarkable staff professionals. I've already been through this rodeo with Angie Schulte, all the way back in 1988. This dedicated caseworker left my office for the nonprofit sector. But back in 2010, I leapt at the chance to hire Angie back as my state office manager. And her second tour of duty has been a huge success. I've known Angie for 40 years now. I've watched her master a wide variety of roles. She's an integral part of my state office. She keeps all of us on task and on time. But unfortunately, tomorrow, her second tour of service will end with a second farewell. Angie is retiring after decades of hard work and phenomenal public service. For 12 years, Angie's been the steady rudder steering my in-state team. There was a complicated problem, she'd fix it. A scheduling conflict, she'd resolve it. A new staffer needed help growing into her role, she'd provide it. Angie combines meticulous efficiency with a totally charming and cheerful demeanor. My relationship with Angie actually predates my time in the Senate. Her mother, Jeanette, was my personnel director for my county administration. I was a newly elected Republican in a heavily Democratic county government who needed all the smarts and all the help I could get. Angie's mother, Jeanette, proved invaluable. In 1982, her daughter Angie came on board as office receptionist. I quickly promoted her not once, but twice. She served as office manager of my neighborhood response office. When I won statewide in 1984, Angie was one of my first hires. With the same vigor that helped Louisville residents settle property disputes and parking tickets, Angie began helping Kentuckians across the state navigate the morass of federal government red tape. Expertise, an eye for detail, Angie grew into the consummate public servant. Our whole team was overjoyed to welcome Angie back after her tenure with Metro United Way, one of the Commonwealth's largest nonprofits. Now, Angie is famous for humming and whistling while she works and for throwing extravagant birthday parties for her colleagues. She's unfailingly upbeat. She has a permanent positive attitude, and boy, does she get results for Kentucky. As you can see, it's been an honor to have Angie's talents on our team. I'm just grateful that when a sterling 40-year career concludes tomorrow, a 40-year friendship will not. So Angie, I wish you every happiness as you spend more time with Steve, with Kathleen and Becca, and with those grandkids, Grant, Logan, and Elizabeth. I'm eternally grateful for your outstanding good work.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.